Hello retro gamers, welcome to the second ever episode of Retro Game on PC. Moving on to something a bit more, well, better than Sonic R, we're heading to Mars. Today I'm reviewing Red Faction. Look at this thing, it's huge. I'm really becoming a fan of collecting big box PC games. Anyway, this was developed by Volition and released by the dearly departed THQ in 2001. Red Faction is also available on the PS2, Mac OS, and surprisingly the N-Gage.
Red Faction takes place in the year 2075, where the Earthlings are no longer able to acquire more minerals and instead have taken to digging holes in Mars instead of Australia or Africa for once. This is all spearheaded by the evil Altor Corporation, who promises great pay and working conditions to potential workers, when in fact everyone who travels there essentially becomes a slave. Above that, there is a mysterious plague going around killing everyone, so bad and nasty that they've even just simply called it the Plague. You play as Parker, who's a pissed off miner who's had enough of Altor's attitude. He's right there when the rebellion against Altor and its guards has started, and since he's the only damn miner who can run straight for 20 meters without dying, he's soon taken on by the mysterious rebellion ringleader Eos to take down Altor and liberate Mars. Along the way you'll also have the soothing voice of a defected techie named Hendrix to help you out as you travel across the whole complex and eventually into space itself. Red Faction could probably be bunched in as the first person shooter it is among the millions of others released in the early 2000s, but Red Faction has one gimmick going for it: geomod technology. Quoted right off that mammoth box, it says, "For the first time ever, destroy and alter the environments in real time," which is kind of true. Yes, there are environments that can be destroyed in unique and fluid ways depending on the weapon, but I found that the game cherry-picked these moments for you. It's not like you can destroy the environment full-time to your advantage, as a lot of the environments can't actually be destroyed at all. If the environment was made out of rock or concrete, then generally you could hit it with a rocket or C4 destroying it. Other times though, Red Faction played just like any old standard FPS, the environments were as destructible as you'd expect. I was a bit disappointed I couldn't cause as much chaos as I'd like to, since I can be a fairly malevolent human being at times. But even though Red Faction's major gimmick did just straight up disappear for levels at a time and turn it into a standard FPS, it's at least an enjoyable standard FPS during those times. The environments help this quite a bit as you can travel from the mines, to the offices, through caves, and outside onto the surface and eventually into space and then back to Mars, but the way it's presented is a lot of fun. Red Faction takes a Half-Life and Portal philosophy to level design. Everything is done in one long run. Sure, the game may stop sometimes to load, which is understandable, but the game never skips any areas with loading screens. You never magically teleport to a completely different place over the course of a loading screen, and I find that fantastic. It makes me really identify with the lead character more, as I'm in issues for 100% of the journey to liberate Mars. The only real downer to the fun are the stealth sections. These thankfully don't go for long, but hot damn do they break up the action. The way the AI recognizes you seems inconsistent, and I literally got through one part by running past everything until the game would let me use a weapon. Hot tip though, in the second monstrosity of a stealth section, you can actually use your weapons and the game doesn't care. Use them, it will save you a lot of trouble. Talking about weapons, what would a first person shooter be without them? Well, crap I guess, but this game has them, so that's convenient. I'm going to split this into three categories: weapons for destroying, weapons for killing, and weapons that are cool and of note. Since the game does let you destroy the environments from time to time, there are a wide range of weapons like rockets, C4, and grenades to get the job done. The killing weapons are pretty standard, including pistols, automatic rifles, sniper rifles, etc. Nothing really to write home about, but they are functional, seem to aim well, and the game offers enough ammo on the normal difficulty modes that you're not constantly worried about running out. Now, I did say weapons of note pluralized before, but now that I need to talk about it I can only really think of one: the Railgun. This wonderful piece of technology lets you shoot through walls, and through its scope you can even see where the enemies are standing behind said walls. This is amazingly good fun, so it's a shame the game sort of limits the amount of ammo available for it. I guess it would make it way too easy, but as a balance the enemies can also shoot you through the wall using the same gun. This can be lame sometimes as you seemingly die out of nowhere, but since I was using it as well, I guess it was fair. I did seem to have some issues quickly switching between weapons though. It seemed a bit too eager to scroll through the list, so sometimes I'd end up with something I didn't want. This wasn't a major issue, but it sucked when you're efficiently trying to select a particular weapon in the heat of a battle, and you end up with a frickin' melee weapon. As the whole game is in one run as mentioned before, you'll be glad to know that it's not all on foot. There are a handful of vehicles to drive, some conventional, some not so much. The general Jeep and minor-like vehicles handle okay. Sometimes the steering feels a bit too sensitive for my taste, but it is Mars gravity I guess, not Earth's. My favourite to operate were the submarines. These are a lot of fun. Luckily for me, the game seems to plop you in these a lot more than the other vehicles too. Unfortunately, once these got too damaged to work though, you're on your own. You can traverse any landscape without these on foot, but you'll have a long slog ahead of you. Luckily though, I never found myself in that situation. There are a few other ways to get around of note too. I have to mention the ladders, as these really gave me the shits throughout the game. Parker plainly just doesn't seem great at gripping these. There were plenty of times I fell off and sustained damage. Maybe I was just trying to go up and down these too quickly, but damn it, I have a planet to save. You can also scale fences too, which I found really awesome at the start of the game. God knows why, it sounds really plain when I lay it out like that. Anyway, the game doesn't require you to do it that much, but I thought it was a nice platforming element thrown in. The graphics probably aren't as great as Red Faction's competition at the time, but they're functional enough. I suspect the downgraded graphics will have to do with the geomod technology and the way certain environments can be destroyed. I'm mostly talking out of my ass here, but I guess it is easier if the geometry is simpler. The game's recommended specs requires a Pentium 3 and a GPU of 32MB of VRAM if that means anything to anyone. It's just old enough not to mention Windows XP though, so I suspect most mid-range computers of the early 2000s will play it fine. As for audio, there is quite a bit of dialogue included. The guards' catchphrases do tend to wear a bit thin after a while, it's all made up by that death squeal. Too good. The music on the other hand is absolutely fantastic. It's so eerie and atmospheric, it really makes you question as to what the hell you're doing there. Well, you're on goddamn Mars, and it kinda sucks thanks to Altor, but hey, at least the tunes are good. But in all seriousness, the music really draws you in and fits in exceptionally well. I'm glad this department wasn't skipped over because it really adds to the game a lot.
This game is fairly easy going and flows well until about 3 hours in, and then the difficulty is really cranked up. I like how you can save whenever you damn well please though, it really clamps down on repetition as long as you're smart about it. I guess this could dilute the challenge a little bit, but it is up to you how much you save after all. After this release there was Red Faction 2 in 2002, Red Faction Guerrilla in 2009, and Red Faction Armageddon released in 2011, but I can't show you a box for that since I own it on Steam. I'll likely get around to reviewing those in order though, so stay tuned. For obvious reasons, I couldn't realistically try out the multiplayer, but supposedly there could be 32 players on a map, and there was also a level editor as well. This is well worth picking up for the single player campaign alone though. Overall, Red Faction is a game that is easy to recommend. If you're into FPSs with a twist, then this is potentially the game for you.
Hello retro gamers, and thank you so much for watching. Along with posting videos again, I've also been injecting content into RetroGameOn.com. Not a lot yet, but I have posted about the retro games I picked up recently, where I mentioned this game actually, as well as a retro scan of an old Harvey Norman advert showcasing a lot of mid-90s computers for sale. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.